It's my real name, I don't want to be anybody else. I want people to know who I am. No, the reason I've picked my own name, I've checked with other actors and other guys that do it, and there's never been a George Wood, so who better to be than yourself? I would say I didn't want to be too much a joker. I'm serious with what I do, but at the same time, I'm trying to how do I put this? It's a comedy show, but I want people to know who I am. Just like Paul McKenna said his name was Paul McKenna, I'm just keeping my name the same, if you get me. I don't know, but it's my real name, so. About 5 years ago, I'd injured my back, and when I went to the doctors, it was when the back round about the shoulder blades, when I was lifting a pallet, I ripped it, and doctors couldn't help me through the whole thing with trying to get treatment, getting knocked back and forth, and I thought have a read into reflexology. So I was reading about how you have pressure points in your neck, around about the shoulders, your arms, your wrists, back of your knees, your ankles, things like that, and also around about your head. And I thought to myself, what would happen if you put the whole lot together into one big massage? Down the stair, my wife-to-be at the time was sitting watching the telly, and I gave her a massage and just went, sleep, and she went out like a light bulb. At that point, I tried to wake her up, she went to speak to me, she was sitting like that, so I did what everybody that panics does, and ran up the stairs and went on Google, and read on how to wake somebody up for hypnosis, and from there it just became a bit of a hobby, and I've just sort of self-taught myself through reading and through there, really. That's how it came about, in a nutshell. She's still asleep, and that's why we're now married. No, I just came down the stairs after reading a quick basic hypnotic wake-up, counted off 1 up to 10, and each number told her that she'd be waking up more, feel more refreshed and more relaxed. And when she came out, she was convinced that she hadn't actually went under. So that was where I learned that people have mild amnesia as well. And after that, I had a wee play about with her, not that kind of play about, but I had a wee play about with using her as a guinea pig to see what sort of things that she could do, what she couldn't do, and how it worked. And she's been good at letting me do some things, but no everything. I would say they can, yep, because part of the hypnotic process, everybody goes into anyway before they go into sleep. You've maybe experienced yourself, just before you go to sleep, you might vaguely get an image of slipping on a banana skin or something like that, and you jerk yourself up and you wake up. Have you ever experienced that? Before somebody can go into any sleep state, even any human being, before they go to sleep, they have to enter a brief period of hypnosis. So it's sort of like in between the waking state and the completely asleep state. That's like where the hypnotic state lies. So I would say everybody can be hypnotised. However, some people are harder to hypnotise and might take longer, which is why at a show, any hypnotist you'll see, they'll do some hypnotic testers, and that lets them see who the guys are that will go under faster, because if you go and see a show, you don't want to see somebody that takes an hour to be hypnotised. Well, as it stands now, there's the Hypnotism Act, which regulates that the UK Parliament set up. There has been a few revisions after Paul McKenna again. There's an incident with him. If you know what you're doing, yeah, pretty much anybody can. You do need obviously liability insurance for your on stage work, and if it's in an unlicensed place, you need the permission of the council as well. But that is the question, though. I mean, I've tried to teach people it, and they can't quite do what I can do. So I'd say anybody is allowed to be a hypnotist, but I don't know if anybody can be a hypnotist, if you get me. I wouldn't say it's a gift, no. That's a wee bit egotistical if I was to say that, but I think it's a skill more, and I think it ties into my own experiences in life as well that have helped me. I'd agree with that. I mean, I'm deaf, 90% deaf. I need to lip read, and the things I've been through in my life with reading the body language to help me, figure out what somebody's saying when I can't understand them really helps me. And when I look back now through my life, I can see a combination of all these bad experiences, even primary school all the way up to being in a job, on the telephone. That's really hard for me. Somebody standing behind me, I need to constantly look at the lighting in the ground to see, because if they're talking to me, I can't hear them. So I think all these have combined, so that's where I've sort of learned a lot of what I do there, if you get me. But I'd say that's a skill. Lip reading's a skill. It can be self-taught as well, just like I've taught myself. So I'd say if that answers your question. Like I said, the hypnotism act, you have to be over 18. You can't have any sort of prior mental conditions such as epilepsy's one. Anyone who has a family history, I'd even go as far, I mention that at my shows, to say to them, don't participate. They're allowed to watch, if they can watch the show obviously, but to take part, the other thing as well is you can't be pregnant. Now some women might not know they're pregnant, obviously, that's fine, but when you're in the later stages of pregnancy, it's the best to stay away from comedy shows. Not just because of the hypnosis, but on stage, if I'm going to have people dancing about or doing anything funny, I'm not wanting anybody to get hurt that might be pregnant. I'm currently researching hypnotherapy. I don't really like to speak too much about that side of things, as I'm learning as I go. I have helped a few people. For example, my wife, if she gets like the flu or a cold, I can quickly hypnotise her and tell her. I'd rather say the difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy, firstly, is that hypnosis is not changing your mind about anything. All it is suggesting something and somebody will act that out or they'll do it. Whereas hypnotherapy is actually changing your subconscious and your conscious mind's idea of things. For example, with my wife, if she's got the cold or the flu, I'll use hypnosis to put her into a deeper state, but I'll then use hypnotherapy to tell her mind that there's no need for her to feel that pain or feel bad. Her body understands that she's ill, so in a way she'll still be completely ill with the flu, but she'll not feel it. So I like the idea of probably branching out and helping people who are maybe ill, with pain and things like that. When it comes to stopping smoking and all that, I'm not too interested in that side of it, but definitely when it comes to people in pain, needing general help, and it's something that I didn't really see myself charging money for either. So this is what I'm doing. I've had, my CV's like a dog's breakfast. It's pretty long as well. I've had about, I'm 26, I've been working for 16, I've had probably more than 30 jobs that range for sales, telephone jobs, door-to-door sales. I've worked in security, HR, recruitment. I've even worked with the banks. So I've never ever been able to stick a job that I feel fits me. I've always felt that I wanted to do something just that bit different and bring something nice to people at the same time. And after doing my first show, the experience, everybody at the end, clapping, and everybody had a great night, and the laughter's just what does it for me. So it's the thing that I'm doing, and I see myself doing for a long time. I've obviously looked at other hypnotists, and I think anybody that can get on stage first of all and do a show, be it music, be it hypnosis, even public speaking, all that, I've got to admire, because it does take a lot of bottle. However, things like making people eat onions, 6 onions in a row, I think that's far too far. Or I've even seen one in, I'm not sure who it was, but it made the guy wet his pants. That's pretty ridiculous to me. The worst I've probably done, and the worst I would go, is make a straight guy appear, to be gay. I've tried it the other way, but it doesn't actually do anything, because that's who they are. So it's funny, because when you say to, make a straight guy gay, you have them, acting really ultra feminine and that. But when you say to make a gay guy straight, they act exactly the same way, only they'll say they're straight. So it just goes to show, kudos to them, they're being themselves. Which a lot of people don't think they are. It is quite difficult with the more volunteers you have, because you need to keep your eye on the ball. What I would say is, you do always get a couple of guys that will say, I'll have a laugh. They're normally the guys that end up under though as well, in my experience. But there is cues. Looking into their eyes, you can tell by their pupils. They'll normally be a bit dilated, might be a little bit bloodshot at first because they're quite sleepy. Also, it is quite hard, but it's something that you learn with experience, and I think I've got it quite good. In my opinion, I write down each individual sketch, and quite often it'll change with each show, because you'll get a guy who'll be so great at something, or a woman. But my favourite one is taking a guy and making him, or a woman, it's been both in different shows, and making them into a Chinese speaking Kung Fu master. And they'll take someone else that's under and make them their translator. So the two of them will have a conversation through me, and I'll ask them, how does it feel, how was your flight for China? And they'll give it all the kuntan, jupo, and all this sort of jibber. And they'll have a conversation, and it'll get translated to me and the audience through them. And then I'll ask him, he or she, to do kung fu moves along to some really hardcore trance or dance music, and it's just that's fun to me. The other one that I've done that's between these two, the other one's getting a group of people together and making them all different nationalities, and make them all have a rap battle in different languages, and pass the mic for, with a flat sort of drum and bass beat or similar. And that's just, it's great, when it all goes to plan, and you have them all sort of, dancing around and insulting each other. But you obviously need to keep it, clean, and make sure nobody takes it too serious though. But that's probably the best ones for me. I like Paul McKenna, but he's kind of went to hypnotherapy now though. But I think he did change a lot of things. He's made a big mark and a big impression, and he's a name that everybody knows.
Make food forbidden, it becomes all you can think about. As soon as you say, I mustn't have chocolate cake, and you try and will yourself, and you go, I mustn't have it melting in my mouth, it's game over, yeah?
I love Derren Brown as well, for his showmanship, and his ability to take things from the past and modernise them, which is what I'm trying to do with the comedy that I'm doing on the stage, rather than, where Derren Brown's sort of got more flair about him, and it's sort of like old school mixed with new school, and I'm just trying to do that with the on-stage comedy stuff, rather than magic tricks or something like that.
Your name is Tony Brent. You're 34 years old.
You live in Swindon.
You moved house earlier this year. You have a fiancée called Denise. You met her at work in 2005. Your mother is called Carol. Your father is called Tony. You work as a divisional attachment manager.
Your father was in the RAF.
You moved to Cyprus with the RAF for a couple of years in your teens.
You used to see a girl called Carrie White.
You lived with her in Cheltenham for several years. You no longer have feelings about her.
You suffered from this childhood.
You can talk at length about Cuba, New York, Lomond, Dominican Republic, Rome and Portugal. You've been on holidays with Denise and you had fun. Your first son is Oliver, he was born by C-section, he weighed 11 pounds. Your second son is Harry, he weighed 10 pounds 14 ounces. He went to hospital when he was 3 weeks old. Your brother Marc, he lived with you in your fiancé. Your first son is Oliver, he was born by C-section, he weighed 11 pounds.
Raise the dopamine levels and load his What's
happening?
I need him paralysed. I need him bloody paralysed.
What's happening?
I need gas. Gas. I need gas.
no time has passed in your mind since you were on the operating table a second ago. That's important. What's real and what isn't?
What if you woke up to find you were the subject of someone's experiment?
The other guy that I really like that a lot of people might not have heard of is a guy called Marc Savard, and he's pretty big in the States, and he's just got a personality I like, and I like the way that he really does his hypnosis. He's a funny guy. That's got the 3 hours.
Here we go, back 'em up, back 'em up, back 'em up, it's river dancing time, here we go! Hey ho! 1, 2, 3, one away! Whoa, whoa, John, whoa, whoa! So, what's up with you? I was doing a show and then you're interrupting. Sorry. That's bullshit, man. We take things very seriously here, you know? You wouldn't go to Blue Man Group and do that shit, would you? Oh, no, sorry. No, you would not. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Well, like I said, I've not got a mentor or a tutor, and I actually don't know any other hypnotists, so I've not got anyone that I could say, you know, to recommend to go and see. The only other guy I've really heard about is Peter Powers, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, but it's I don't know any local hypnotists. I'm putting a lot of effort into the one in Bathgate at Chalmers. It's on the 31st of August. It's £10 a head, and it's doing pretty well, ticket sales as well. There'll also be a live band, Major Tom, playing after the show, and there'll be a main DJ in the main room at the same time, so it's a good night. Doors open at 7, close at 8 for the show, and that comedy show lasts about 2.5 hours, give or take, you know, either way. Depending on how the sketches go, and Major Tom will be doing a good 3 to 4 hours of music, so it's a good night. My future plans, it's just really sort of go around the local area. I have been looking at like Newcastle, I know a few people there, also Manchester, and further down Essex, but I'm wanting to try and keep it in Scotland until I start looking further down. My dream is to get it into the theatre. That's the main thing that I'd love to do. There's a lot more that you can do with props and showmanship in the theatre, but for now I really like Chalmers as a venue, so it's a personal favourite reason that I've picked it. I do really like the place myself. I think they've got a nice, it's a nice venue, and I think everybody will have actually a real good night, and it'll be a good blast. Because I enjoy the show, and if people come and they enjoy the show and they see I'm enjoying it, and Marc enjoys his band, it'll be a good night.